My name is Elena Rodriguez, and at 36 years old, I serve as Chief Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. But 3 months ago at my sister Isabella's wedding, she publicly declared me a failure in front of 200 guests before discovering that the judge officiating her ceremony was actually my former colleague, who addresses me as Your Honor. The moment when Judge Patricia Hawthorne recognized me and announced my judicial position to the stunned wedding assembly transformed years of family humiliation into the most satisfying vindication of my career, proving that those who underestimate us often become the very people who must eventually acknowledge our achievements. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning. If this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning of Isabella's wedding at the prestigious Fairmont Copley Plaza began with the same pattern of dismissive treatment that had characterized our relationship throughout my entire professional journey. Despite my systematic advancement through every level of the Massachusetts court system, Isabella had specifically requested that I arrive early to assist with final preparations, not because she valued my contribution to her special day, but because she needed someone to handle the mundane tasks that she considered beneath the attention of her successful friends and professional colleagues. The irony of asking a Chief Justice to arrange flower centerpieces and coordinate vendor deliveries was lost on Isabella, who remained convinced that my legal career represented nothing more than prolonged academic avoidance of real-world responsibilities and meaningful achievement. The wedding venue reflected Isabella's determination to project success and sophistication that she believed distinguished her lifestyle from my own choices and circumstances. The Fairmont Copley Plaza provided the kind of elegant backdrop that would photograph beautifully for social media, while demonstrating her ability to afford luxury experiences that she assumed exceeded my financial capability. The guest list included prominent business executives, successful entrepreneurs, and established professionals whose achievements Isabella frequently cited as examples of the kind of success that had eluded me throughout my academic and legal career. Isabella's perspective on success remained firmly rooted in traditional markers of achievement that emphasized financial compensation, material possessions, and social recognition rather than public service or professional contribution to societal welfare. Her career in pharmaceutical sales had provided substantial income and lifestyle benefits that enabled the kind of conspicuous consumption she interpreted as evidence of superior life choices compared to my decision to pursue judicial service. The wedding planning process had involved countless conversations, where Isabella contrasted her practical success with what she characterized as my impractical idealism and financial limitations, resulting from choosing public service over lucrative private practice opportunity. The morning preparation activities required coordination between multiple vendors, management of complex logistics, and resolution of last-minute complications that tested organizational skills and crisis management capabilities that Isabella did not realize I had developed through decades of managing court operations and complex legal proceedings. The florist arrived with arrangements that differed significantly from the approved designs, requiring immediate negotiations and creative solutions to maintain the aesthetic vision while avoiding significant delays to the ceremony schedule. The catering coordinator needed clarification about dietary restrictions and service timing that required quick decision-making and clear communication to ensure smooth execution throughout the reception. These challenges provided opportunities to demonstrate competence and leadership that Isabella had never acknowledged during our family interaction, where she consistently positioned herself as the practical sister who managed real-world responsibilities, while I pursued academic interests that she considered disconnected from practical concern. The vendor coordination required diplomatic communication, strategic problem-solving, and project management skills that directly paralleled the administrative responsibilities involved in managing court operations and judicial proceedings. The success in resolving these complications efficiently and professionally should have provided evidence of capabilities that extended beyond Isabella's limited perception of my qualifications and achievement. The guest arrival process revealed the extent to which Isabella had shaped family and social perceptions about our relative success and life circumstances. Extended family members approached me with the kind of sympathetic encouragement, typically reserved for individuals who are struggling professionally or personally, offering generic advice about career development and suggestions for improving my financial situation. Cousins, who had achieved conventional business success, expressed genuine surprise that I continued working in public service, rather than transitioning to private practice, where I could earn substantial income and achieve the kind of material success that they equated with personal fulfillment and professional validation. Isabella's friends from her pharmaceutical sales career demonstrated polite but dismissive interest in my work, asking perfunctory questions about my legal career before shifting conversations toward topics they considered more relevant and engaging. Their assumptions about judicial compensation and working conditions reflected common misconceptions about public service careers, while revealing their limited understanding of the judicial system and the qualifications required for advancement to senior positions within state court hierarchy. The conversations highlighted the disconnect between public perception of legal careers and the reality of judicial service that involves substantial responsibility for constitutional interpretation and policy implementation that affects millions of citizens. The pre-ceremony family photographs required extensive coordination and positioning that provided additional opportunities for Isabella to demonstrate her perception of our relative importance and social status within family dynamics. The photographer's instructions reflected Isabella's preferences for arrangement and emphasis that positioned her at the center of family groupings, while relegating me to peripheral positions that suggested lesser significance within family relationships. The photo session included extended family members, college friends, and professional colleagues, whose positioning and interaction patterns reinforced Isabella's narrative about our respective achievements and social standing. During the photography session, Isabella made several comments about my appearance and clothing choices that reflected her ongoing criticism of my professional wardrobe and personal style preference. Her suggestions for improvement and enhancement revealed her assumption that my appearance reflected financial constraints rather than deliberate choices about appropriate professional presentation and personal authenticity. The critique extended beyond superficial concerns to encompass broader judgments about my lifestyle choices and career decisions that she interpreted as evidence of misguided priorities and impractical idealism that had prevented me from achieving conventional success. The ceremony preparation included final coordination with Judge Patricia Hawthorne, who had been selected to officiate the wedding based on her reputation for conducting elegant and meaningful ceremonies that enhanced the significance of important family celebrations. Isabella had specifically requested a judicial officiant to add gravitas and formality to the proceedings, while demonstrating her ability to access high-level professional services for her wedding celebration. The irony of choosing judicial participation while simultaneously dismissing my own judicial career remained unrecognized by Isabella, who viewed Judge Hawthorne's presence as evidence of her social connections, rather than acknowledgement of judicial authority and expertise. My initial interaction with Judge Hawthorne required careful navigation of professional relationships and social protocols that balanced my respect for her position with the informal family context of the wedding celebration. Judge Hawthorne served on the Superior Court and had interacted with the Supreme Judicial Court on numerous occasions, through appeals processes and administrative coordination, but our paths had not crossed frequently enough for immediate personal recognition. The wedding context created an opportunity for professional interaction outside the formal court environment, while maintaining appropriate boundaries between judicial colleagues and family celebration participants. The ceremony rehearsal proceeded smoothly, with Judge Hawthorne demonstrating the kind of professional competence and dignified presence that had earned her reputation for conducting memorable and meaningful wedding ceremonies. Her questions about family relationships and marriage history revealed her thoroughness in preparing personalized ceremonies that reflected the specific circumstances and values of each couple. The rehearsal process provided opportunities for informal conversation that began to establish the personal connection that would prove significant during the actual ceremony, when professional recognition would transform family dynamics and social perception. Isabella's behavior during the rehearsal continued to reflect her assumptions about our relative social status and professional achievement, with subtle but consistent patterns of interaction that positioned her as the successful family member while treating me as someone who required sympathetic support and encouragement. Her introduction of family members to Judge Hawthorne emphasized Isabella's own accomplishments while providing minimal information about my background and career, reflecting her belief that my professional experience offered little worthy of mention or respect from successful individuals. The rehearsal dinner provided extended opportunities for family interaction and social conversation that further revealed the depth of misconceptions about my career and achievements that Isabella had cultivated among family members and social contacts. Relatives shared their concerns about my financial security and career prospects while offering advice about transitioning to more lucrative legal practice that could provide better compensation and lifestyle opportunity. The well-intentioned suggestions reflected genuine care for my welfare combined with complete misunderstanding of judicial careers and the satisfaction derived from public service that transcends monetary compensation. Professional colleagues of Isabella's fiancé demonstrated polite interest in my legal background while clearly expecting that my work involved routine legal tasks rather than constitutional interpretation and policy development that affects fundamental rights and governmental operations throughout Massachusetts. Their questions about my daily responsibilities revealed assumptions about judicial work that suggested limited understanding of court operations and the intellectual challenges involved in analyzing complex legal issues and crafting decisions that establish precedent for future cases and legal interpretation. The evening concluded with Isabella's speech thanking family members and friends for their participation in her wedding celebration, during which she made several comments about our different life paths and career choices that reinforced her narrative about practical success versus idealistic pursuit. Her remarks included subtle criticism of my decision to prioritize public service over financial advancement, while expressing gratitude for my assistance with wedding preparations, despite what she characterized as my limited understanding of successful event planning and social coordination. The speech reflected her continuing belief that conventional business success represented superior achievement compared to judicial service and constitutional responsibility. The night before the ceremony provided final opportunities for reflection on the family dynamics and social perceptions that had shaped relationships throughout my professional development and career advancement. The contrast between my actual responsibilities and achievement versus understanding of my work highlighted the common disconnect between public perception of judicial careers and the reality of constitutional interpretation and legal precedent development that defines Supreme Judicial Court responsibilities. The upcoming ceremony would provide an unexpected opportunity for clarification and recognition that would fundamentally alter these misconceptions and family dynamics. The wedding morning began with final preparations and last-minute coordination that required managing multiple vendors, resolving logistical complications, and ensuring smooth execution of ceremony and reception activity. Isabella's continued reliance on my organizational skills and problem-solving capabilities created ironic contrast with her persistent criticism of my practical abilities and real-world competence. The successful management of complex wedding logistics demonstrated exactly the kind of administrative and leadership capabilities that had contributed to my advancement through judicial positions and appointment to the Supreme Judicial Court. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. As guests began arriving for the ceremony, the atmosphere of anticipation and celebration created appropriate backdrop for what would become a transformative moment in family relationships and social recognition of professional achievement. The gathering included individuals from diverse professional backgrounds who would witness the unexpected revelation of my judicial position and the dramatic shift in family dynamics that would result from Judge Hawthorne's professional recognition and public acknowledgement of my constitutional responsibilities and legal authority. The moments preceding the ceremony included final coordination with Judge Hawthorne about procedural details and ceremonial elements that would ensure dignified and meaningful wedding proceedings. These professional interactions began to establish the foundation for mutual recognition that soon transform the social context and create opportunities for family education about judicial careers and constitutional service that had remained misunderstood despite years of explanation and clarification attempts. The ceremony was about to begin, setting the stage for the most significant vindication of my career and the most dramatic transformation of family perceptions that would demonstrate how professional achievement and constitutional service deserve recognition and respect regardless of family members' limited understanding of judicial responsibilities and societal contribution. The formative years that shaped my character and determination unfolded in the working-class neighborhoods of East Boston, where my parents, Miguel and Carmen Rodriguez, had established their American dream through relentless work ethic and unwavering belief in educational advancement as the pathway to generational progress. Our modest three-bedroom colonial house on Maverick Street represented the culmination of 15 years of savings, sacrifice, and strategic financial planning that enabled home ownership in a community where many families remained trapped in cycles of rental dependency and economic uncertainty. The neighborhood environment provided both the challenges that could have limited aspirations and the cultural foundation that emphasized perseverance, family loyalty, and respect for achievement through legitimate effort, rather than shortcuts or compromises of personal integrity. Miguel Rodriguez had immigrated from El Salvador at age 19, with 8th grade education, profound determination to create better opportunities for his future family, and willingness to accept any honest employment that could provide foundation for eventual advancement and stability. His initial employment involved construction labor, restaurant, kitchen work, and warehouse operations that required physical stamina and reliability, rather than formal credentials or English language fluency. The progression from day laborer to construction supervisor over 12 years demonstrated the kind of systematic advancement that resulted from exceptional work ethic, leadership capability, and strategic relationship building that would later influence my own approach to professional development and career planning. Carmen Rodriguez arrived from Guatemala at 21 with high school education, basic English skills, and fierce ambition to pursue nursing career that would provide both personal fulfillment and family financial security. Her pathway through community college prerequisite courses, nursing program completion, and eventual specialization in pediatric care required managing full-time employment while attending evening classes and maintaining household responsibilities that included childcare and family coordination. The example of her systematic pursuit of professional credentials despite overwhelming logistical challenges provided early lessons about balancing competing priorities and maintaining focus on long-term objectives, despite immediate obstacles and resource limitations. The Rodriguez household operated according to principles that emphasized educational achievement as the primary mechanism for transcending economic limitations and achieving professional recognition that would validate the sacrifices previous generations had made to establish American foundation for future success. Homework completion received priority over household chores. Library visits were scheduled weekly, regardless of weather or transportation challenges, and academic performance was monitored with attention typically reserved for critical business metrics. The messaging about education was consistent and uncompromising throughout childhood and adolescence, creating understanding that academic excellence represented both personal responsibility and family honor that could not be compromised for social activities or immediate gratifications. Isabella, 3 years older than me, demonstrated early aptitude for social interaction and practical problem-solving that earned recognition from teachers, neighbors, and extended family members, who appreciated her ability to navigate different social contexts with confidence and apparent effortlessness. Her academic performance was solid rather than exceptional, reflecting intelligence and capability, without the intense focus and systematic approach that characterized my own educational methodology. The differences in our academic orientations became apparent during elementary school years, when Isabella excelled in group projects and social activities, while I gravitated toward individual research and analytical challenges that required sustained concentration and methodical investigation. The economic constraints that defined our family's daily reality required careful resource allocation and creative solutions for meeting basic needs, while maintaining the kind of stability that supported academic focus and extracurricular participation. Winter heating costs competed with school supply budgets. Transportation expenses influenced decisions about after-school activities, and clothing purchases required strategic timing around seasonal sales and family financial planning. These experiences taught valuable lessons about priority management and resource optimization that would prove essential during law school years when financial limitations required similar strategic thinking about educational investments and living expense. Elementary school experiences at the Rafael Hernandez School provided foundation in academic fundamentals while revealing significant disparities in educational resources and opportunities compared to suburban districts that served more affluent communities. Classroom overcrowding, outdated textbooks, and limited technology access created challenges that required developing independent learning strategies and seeking supplemental educational resources through public libraries and community organizations. The necessity of self-directed learning and resource identification established patterns of intellectual curiosity and systematic research that would prove invaluable throughout subsequent educational advancement and professional development. The neighborhood public library branch became my primary educational resource and refuge from household chaos during periods when family financial stress created tension and distraction that interfered with academic concentration. Miss Catherine Morrison, the head librarian, recognized my frequent presence and systematic approach to research projects, providing guidance about reference materials and suggesting advanced reading that expanded understanding beyond grade-level expectations. Her mentorship included recommendations for summer reading programs, academic competitions, and scholarship opportunities that might support future educational advancement, despite family financial limitations. Isabella's social success during middle school years included leadership positions in student government, participation in popular social group, and recognition for organizing events and activities that demonstrated her natural ability to coordinate complex projects and build consensus among diverse personalities. Her achievements earned praise from teachers and administrators while establishing reputation for practical competence and leadership capability that would influence family perceptions about our respective strengths and likely future success. The contrast between her social prominence and my academic focus created family dynamics where Isabella was viewed as the well-rounded achiever, while I was characterized as academically gifted but socially awkward and potentially impractical. High school attendance at East Boston High School required navigating complex social dynamics while maintaining academic focus, despite peer pressure toward activities and priorities that could have compromised educational goals and college preparation requirements. The student body included individuals from diverse backgrounds, with varying levels of academic ambition and family support for educational advance. The environment required developing strategies for avoiding negative influences while building relationships with classmates who shared commitment to academic excellence and college preparation, despite resource limitations and community skepticism about higher education. Accessibility. Academic performance throughout high school reflected both natural analytical ability and extraordinary effort required to excel in advanced placement courses while managing part-time employment responsibilities that contributed to family expenses and college savings accounts. Mathematics and science courses provided particular satisfaction and confidence, while English and social studies classes required more concentrated effort but developed communication skills and understanding of legal and political systems that would prove essential for eventual law school success and judicial career development. The guidance counselor at East Boston High School, Mrs. Rodriguez, initially suggested community college attendance, followed by transfer to four-year institution, as the most realistic pathway for higher education, given family financial circumstances and academic preparation levels available through public school resources. Her recommendations reflected genuine concern for student success, combined with limited understanding of scholarship opportunities and financial aid programs that could make prestigious university education accessible for academically qualified students from low-income income family. The interaction provided early experience with well-intentioned adults whose limited vision could inadvertently restrict opportunities if students accepted their assessments without independent research and advocacy. College application processes required extensive research about financial aid options, academic requirements, and institutional cultures that would support success for first-generation college students from working-class backgrounds. The public library provided access to college guides and application materials, while teachers, who recognized my academic potential, offered assistance with essay writing and recommendation letters. Miss Patricia Flanagan, my advanced placement English teacher, provided particularly valuable guidance about presenting personal background and aspirations in ways that would resonate with admissions committees while maintaining authenticity about family circumstances and cultural identity. Harvard University represented both the pinnacle of academic achievement and seemingly impossible aspiration, given family financial resources and social background that differed dramatically from typical student populations at elite institutions. The decision to apply despite overwhelming odds reflected combination of academic confidence and strategic understanding that exceptional opportunities often require courage to pursue goals that appear unrealistic to outside observers. The application process itself provided valuable education about presenting qualifications effectively while managing anxiety about outcomes that could significantly influence future possibilities and family economic trajectory. The acceptance letter from Harvard arrived during spring of senior year, accompanied by financial aid package that made attendance feasible through combination of scholarships, grant and work-study employment that would cover tuition and living expenses without requiring family contribution beyond emotional support and encouragement. The achievement represented validation of years of academic focus and systematic preparation while creating opportunities for educational advancement that exceeded family expectations and neighborhood precedent. The reaction from Isabella combined genuine pride with subtle concern about how my educational trajectory might affect family dynamics and social relationships. Preparation for Harvard attendance required addressing practical challenges, including appropriate clothing for different climate and social context, academic supplies and technology that met university standards, and psychological preparation for integrating into academic community where family background and cultural identity would represent minority perspective. The summer before freshman year included intensive reading and skill development designed to ensure competitive preparation, despite public school limitations and resource constraints that had characterized previous educational experiences. The transition from East Boston, working-class environment to Harvard's privileged academic culture required developing strategies for navigating social and economic differences while maintaining authentic cultural identity and family connections that remained important for personal well-being and community responsibility. The experience included both isolation from familiar support systems and excitement about intellectual opportunities that had been unavailable through previous educational environments. The adjustment process revealed both personal resilience and areas requiring development for success in competitive academic settings. Undergraduate academic performance at Harvard reflected both intellectual capability and extraordinary effort required to compete with classmates who had benefited from superior secondary education and cultural advantages that facilitated academic success in elite institutional environments. Political science and philosophy courses provided particular engagement and confidence, while economics and statistics classes required more concentrated effort but developed analytical skills that would prove valuable for law school preparation and eventual judicial responsibilities, involving complex policy analysis and constitutional interpretation. Financial constraints during undergraduate years required careful budget management and strategic employment
that could provide income while supporting rather than compromising academic performance and graduation requirements. Work-study positions in library research and administrative support provided both income and valuable experience with academic institutions while developing professional skills and relationships that would influence future opportunities and career development. The necessity of self-supporting education created appreciation for resource value and strategic thinking about investment decisions that would characterize subsequent approach to career development and financial planning. Summer internships at legal aid organizations and public interest law firms provided initial exposure to legal profession while confirming interest in pursuing law school and eventual career in public service rather than private practice focused primarily on financial compensation.
The experiences included observation of court proceedings, client interaction, and case preparation that revealed both intellectual challenges and social impact potential of legal careers dedicated to constitutional protection and equal justice under law rather than wealth accumulation or social status advancement. Graduate school preparation required intensive study for law school admission test, while maintaining undergraduate academic performance and managing employment responsibilities that supported educational expenses and family contributions. The LSAT preparation demanded systematic approach to analytical reasoning and logical problem-solving that aligned well with natural intellectual strengths, while requiring development of test-taking strategies and time management skills essential for competitive performance on standardized assessments that significantly influence law school admission decisions. Law school applications focused on institutions with strong public interest programs and financial aid opportunities that could support educational advancement without creating overwhelming debt burdens that might compromise career flexibility and public service options. Harvard Law School represented both familiar institutional environment and optimal preparation for judicial career aspirations, while providing access to resources and networks that could facilitate professional advancement in constitutional law and appellate practice that leads toward judicial appointment opportunities. The foundation established through challenging family circumstances, systematic educational advancement, despite resource limitations, and consistent focus on public service rather than private gain created comprehensive preparation for the legal career and judicial responsibility that would eventually validate the strategic decisions and personal sacrifices that characterized every stage of academic and professional development, from elementary school through judicial appointment and constitutional service. The transition from Harvard Law School graduate to practicing attorney began with acceptance of a position as Assistant District Attorney in Suffolk County, Massachusetts, representing the Commonwealth in criminal prosecutions that would provide intensive trial experience while serving the public interest through constitutional enforcement and community protection. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office occupied a utilitarian building in downtown Boston, reflected the practical nature of public service rather than the prestigious atmosphere of private law firms that recruited heavily from Harvard Law School with promises of substantial starting salaries and partnership tracks that could lead to significant financial rewards and professional recognition within the legal community. The Assistant District Attorney position offered $38,000 and substantially less compensation than private firm opportunities, but providing invaluable courtroom experience and direct involvement in constitutional interpretation that aligned with long-term judicial career aspirations rather than immediate financial optimization. The office environment emphasized case volume and efficient resolution of criminal matters that affected community safety and individual rights, requiring rapid adaptation to prosecutorial responsibilities while developing practical skills in evidence evaluation, witness preparation, and jury persuasion that would prove essential throughout subsequent legal career advancement and judicial responsibilities. My assigned supervisor, Senior Assistant District Attorney Margaret Chen, had built her reputation through 15 years of successful prosecution in complex criminal cases while maintaining commitment to ethical standards and constitutional protection that distinguished exceptional public servants from those who viewed prosecutorial roles as stepping stones to more lucrative private practice opportunities. Her mentorship approach emphasized both technical competence and professional integrity, explaining that effective prosecution required understanding defendant rights and constitutional limitations as thoroughly as statutory requirements and evidentiary standards that govern criminal proceedings and appellate review processes. The caseload assignment included misdemeanor prosecution, domestic violence matters, and drug possession charges that provided comprehensive exposure to criminal justice system operations, while requiring interaction with defense attorneys, judges, and court personnel who would observe performance and assess professional competence throughout daily courtroom activities. The volume and variety of cases demanded efficient preparation and clear presentation skills, while managing multiple proceedings simultaneously and maintaining attention to detail that could affect individual liberty and constitutional rights in ways that carried significant ethical and legal responsibility. Criminal court proceedings revealed the complex dynamics between prosecution and defense counsel that required developing strategies for effective advocacy, maintaining professional courtesy and respect for opposing counsel who often possessed superior experience and resources compared to newly hired prosecutors. The courtroom environment demanded quick thinking and confident presentation, despite limited preparation time and heavy caseloads that characterized public service legal practice compared to private firm resources and staffing levels that enabled extensive research and preparation for each matter. Trial preparation processes required systematic organization of evidence, witness coordination, and legal research that could support prosecution arguments, while anticipating defense strategies and potential constitutional challenges that might affect case outcomes and appellate review. Responsibility for presenting Commonwealth cases effectively while respecting defendant rights created daily opportunities for developing analytical skills and ethical reasoning that would prove fundamental for eventual judicial responsibilities involving constitutional interpretation and precedent application in complex legal disputes. Interaction with experienced defense attorneys provided informal education about trial strategy and constitutional advocacy that supplemented formal training with practical insights about effective legal argumentation and client representation. Many defense counsel had decades of courtroom experience and sophisticated understanding of constitutional limitations on prosecutorial authority, creating learning opportunities through observation of their preparation methods and courtroom techniques that demonstrated excellence in legal practice and client advocacy. The courthouse environment at Suffolk County's Superior Court encompassed multiple courtrooms, administrative office, and support services that required understanding complex procedural requirements and administrative protocols that governed criminal proceedings from arraignment through sentencing and appellate processes. Learning these systems thoroughly provided comprehensive understanding of court operations that would prove valuable for subsequent judicial appointments and administrative responsibilities involving case management and procedural oversight that ensures constitutional protection and efficient dispute resolution. Judge Maria Santos presided over Criminal Session 4, where many of my early cases were prosecuted, providing opportunities to observe exceptional judicial conduct and courtroom management that demonstrated the balance between efficiency and constitutional protection that characterizes exemplary judicial service. Her approach to evidence evaluation, jury instruction, and sentencing decisions reflected both legal expertise and commitment to fairness that inspired continued pursuit of judicial career despite challenges and limitations that characterized public service legal practice compared to private sector opportunity. The compensation disparity between prosecutorial work and private practice became particularly apparent when Isabella entered pharmaceutical sales after completing her business degree at Boston University. Her starting salary exceeded my prosecutorial compensation by more than 50%, while including substantial bonus opportunities and advancement potential that promised rapid income growth and lifestyle improvements that public service careers typically could not provide. The comparison created family discussions about career practicality and financial planning that revealed Isabella's perspective about professional success and achievement measurement that emphasized monetary compensation over public service contribution. Extended family gatherings provided regular opportunities for relatives to compare our career trajectories and offer advice about professional development that consistently emphasized financial considerations over job satisfaction or societal contribution. Uncles who had achieved business success questioned the wisdom of prosecutorial work when private firms offered substantially higher compensation and partnership potential that could provide long-term financial security and social status advancement. Their well-intentioned guidance reflected common misconceptions about legal careers and public service that would persist throughout subsequent judicial advancement and appointment processes. Isabella's social circle included pharmaceutical representatives, sales managers, and marketing executives who achieved rapid career advancement and substantial compensation increases that enabled lifestyle improvements and consumer spending that contrasted sharply with the modest living standard that prosecutorial salaries could support. Her descriptions of colleague achievements and recreational activities highlighted disparities between private sector and public service career paths, while reinforcing her belief that financial success represented the most meaningful measure of professional accomplishment and personal fulfillment. Weekend social activities often involved Isabella's professional colleagues, whose conversations focused on sales achievements, commission earnings, and promotion opportunities that demonstrated the kind of measurable success and competitive advancement that characterized private sector careers. These gatherings created implicit pressure to justify continued public service employment when private practice opportunities could provide immediate financial improvement and social status enhancement that family members could understand and appreciate more readily than prosecutorial responsibilities and constitutional service. The demanding schedule of criminal prosecution required working extensive hours on case preparation, court appearances, and continuing education requirements, while managing the emotional stress of handling cases involving violence, addiction, family dysfunction, that reflected broader social problems requiring systematic policy solutions, rather than individual prosecutorial action. The intensity of criminal justice work created both professional satisfaction and personal exhaustion that required developing coping strategies and maintaining perspective about long-term career objectives, despite immediate challenges and resource limitations. Professional development opportunities within the district attorney's office included specialized training in domestic violence, prosecution, white-collar crime investigation, and appellate advocacy that provided advanced skills while demonstrating commitment to prosecutorial excellence and career advancement through expertise development, rather than private sector transition. The additional responsibilities and training programs required substantial time investment, but created qualifications for supervisory positions and eventual transition to judicial service through demonstrated competence and professional recognition. Courtroom experience accumulated rapidly through daily trial work and motion practice that required developing confidence and competence in legal argumentation, while managing caseloads that exceeded what private practitioners typically handled simultaneously. The volume of proceedings provided accelerated learning about evidence law, constitutional procedure, and jury psychology that would have required years to acquire in private practice settings where individual cases received extensive preparation and resources that public service could not provide, but which created comprehensive practical education through necessity and opportunity. The transition to senior prosecutor responsibilities after 18 months included supervision of junior attorneys and coordination of complex prosecutions that required advanced case management and leadership skills. The promotion reflected recognition of professional competence and potential for continued advancement within prosecutorial hierarchy, while providing experience in administrative responsibilities and staff development that would prove valuable for eventual judicial service and court management responsibility. Appellate work opportunities arose through assignment to cases requiring Supreme Judicial Court review and constitutional interpretation that provided exposure to high-level legal analysis and precedent development that affected criminal justice policy throughout Massachusetts. The appellate brief, writing, and oral argument experience required sophisticated legal research and constitutional reasoning that aligned directly with long-term judicial career aspirations, while demonstrating competence in areas that would be evaluated during eventual judicial nomination and confirmation process. Community involvement activities included speaking engagements at law schools and civic organizations about prosecutorial responsibilities and constitutional protection that provided opportunities for public education while building professional reputation and network relationships that could support future career advancement. The presentations required developing communication skills and legal education capabilities that would prove valuable for judicial service and continuing legal education responsibilities that accompany judicial appointments and constitutional interpretation. Professional recognition from legal organizations and bar associations resulted from successful prosecution of significant cases and contributions to criminal justice policy development through committee participation and continuing education programs. The acknowledgments provided validation of prosecutorial competence while creating visibility within legal community that could influence judicial nomination, considerations, and support from colleagues who understood the qualifications and temperament necessary for effective judicial service. Isabella's pharmaceutical career advancement during this same period included promotion to regional sales manager with supervisory responsibilities and substantially increased compensation that enabled lifestyle improvements, including luxury apartment rental and European vacation travel, contrasted sharply with the modest living standard that prosecutorial salaries could support. Her success provided regular family conversation topics about career practicality and professional achievement that consistently emphasized financial outcomes over public service contribution or professional satisfaction derived from constitutional enforcement and community protection. The decision to pursue judicial appointment required strategic career planning that included developing expertise in constitutional law while maintaining prosecutorial excellence and building professional relationships that could support nomination processes and confirmation hearings. The path toward judicial service demanded patience and systematic preparation over multiple years, while managing family skepticism about public service careers and financial limitations that accompanied continued commitment to constitutional enforcement rather than private practice transition and optimization. Evening law school teaching opportunities at Suffolk University Law School provided additional income while developing legal education skills and academic credentials that enhanced qualifications for judicial appointment consideration. The teaching responsibilities required preparation of constitutional law courses and supervision of student research projects that maintained connection to academic legal analysis while building reputation within legal education community that could provide support during judicial nomination processes. The prosecutorial experience provided comprehensive foundation for judicial service through intensive courtroom practice, constitutional interpretation, and administrative responsibilities that demonstrated competence in areas directly relevant to judicial duties and court management. The service commitment and ethical standards developed through prosecution work aligned with judicial responsibilities for constitutional protection and equal justice under law that transcends personal advancement or financial consideration in favor of societal benefit and individual rights protection. The systematic development of constitutional expertise and judicial qualifications required transitioning beyond routine prosecutorial duties towards specialized focus on appellate practice and constitutional interpretation that would distinguish exceptional legal practitioners from trial attorneys. This advanced phase of professional development demanded intensive study of Supreme Judicial Court precedents, federal constitutional jurisprudence, and comparative legal analysis that could inform sophisticated understanding of judicial reasoning and precedent application
in complex cases involving fundamental rights and governmental authority limitation. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court Fellowship Program provided unprecedented opportunity for direct exposure to judicial chambers operations, appellate brief analysis, and constitutional research that supported Chief Justice deliberations and court administrative responsibility. The competitive selection process for this prestigious fellowship required demonstration of exceptional academic credentials, appellate writing expertise, and commitment to judicial service that aligned with the court's mission of constitutional interpretation and precedent development for Massachusetts jurisprudence and legal education throughout the Commonwealth. Chief Justice William Harrison supervised fellowship activities with meticulous attention to constitutional reasoning and precedent analysis that required developing sophisticated understanding of judicial decision-making processes and the complex balance between legal precedent and evolving social circumstances that influence constitutional interpretation. His mentorship approach emphasized both technical legal analysis and broader understanding of judicial philosophy that guides appellate courts in developing coherent jurisprudence while maintaining consistency with constitutional principles and established legal doctrine. The appellate brief review process provided comprehensive education about effective legal argumentation and constitutional advocacy through analysis of submissions from distinguished attorneys representing diverse perspectives on complex legal issues. The quality of legal reasoning and research demonstrated in appellate briefs revealed sophisticated approaches to constitutional interpretation while highlighting weaknesses in legal analysis that could compromise case outcomes and precedent development. This exposure to exceptional legal writing and argumentation provided invaluable education about judicial expectations and standards for appellate practice. Constitutional research responsibilities included comprehensive analysis of Federal Circuit Court decisions and Supreme Court jurisprudence that could influence Massachusetts constitutional interpretation and state court precedent development. The research demanded thorough understanding of federal and state constitutional relationships while identifying trends in judicial reasoning that might affect future case outcomes and legal doctrine evolution. This systematic approach to constitutional scholarship provided foundation for eventual judicial service and constitutional interpretation responsibilities that characterize Supreme Judicial Court duty. Justice Patricia Morrison supervised specific research projects involving equal protection, analysis, and due process interpretation that required sophisticated understanding of constitutional history and contemporary application of fundamental rights principles in diverse legal contexts. Her guidance emphasized both doctrinal accuracy and practical understanding of how constitutional decisions affect individual rights and governmental operations throughout Massachusetts. The research experience provided direct exposure to judicial reasoning processes and constitutional analysis that would prove essential for eventual judicial appointment and appellate decision-making responsibility. The court administration exposure included observation of case scheduling conferences, administrative policy development, and judicial education program coordination that revealed comprehensive scope of judicial responsibilities beyond individual case decisions. The administrative functions required understanding court operations and resource management while maintaining focus on constitutional protection and equal justice under law that defines judicial service, mission, and professional obligation. This administrative experience provided valuable preparation for eventual leadership responsibilities and court management duties that accompany senior judicial appointment. Legal writing responsibilities included drafting bench memoranda and research summaries that required distilling complex constitutional issues into clear analysis that could inform judicial deliberations and decision-making process. The writing demanded precision and clarity while maintaining comprehensive coverage of relevant legal authorities and constitutional precedents that could affect case outcomes and precedent development. This intensive writing experience developed skills that would prove essential for judicial opinion drafting and constitutional interpretation. Conference participation with distinguished legal scholars and federal appellate judges provided exposure to sophisticated constitutional discourse and judicial philosophy that expanded understanding beyond Massachusetts precedents toward broader constitutional theory and comparative jurisprudence. The conferences included presentations about emerging legal issues and constitutional interpretation methodologies that could influence future judicial reasoning and precedent development. These academic interactions provided valuable perspective on constitutional evolution and judicial reasoning that would inform eventual judicial service and constitutional analysis. Professional publication opportunities arose through constitutional law journals and legal education publications that required original research and analysis of emerging constitutional issues affecting state court jurisprudence and federal constitutional interpretation. The publication process demanded rigorous research and peer review, while building professional reputation within constitutional law community that could support eventual judicial nomination. The published scholarship demonstrated expertise in constitutional analysis while contributing to legal education and professional development within the Massachusetts legal community. Teaching responsibilities at Harvard Law School Evening Division included constitutional law courses and judicial process seminars that required developing comprehensive curriculum and delivering sophisticated legal education to practicing attorneys seeking advanced credentials. The teaching experience demanded mastery of constitutional doctrine while developing communication skills necessary for effective legal education and professional development within the legal community. These academic responsibilities provided valuable preparation for judicial service and continuing legal education obligations that accompany judicial appointment. Bar Association Committee participation included constitutional law section, leadership and judicial selection committee service that provided insight into judicial nomination processes and qualification evaluation criteria used for judicial appointment recommendation. The committee work required understanding judicial qualification and temperament assessment while participating in evaluation processes that could influence judicial selection and appointment decisions throughout Massachusetts court system. This participation provided valuable understanding of judicial appointment criteria and professional expectations that characterize exceptional judicial service. Continuing legal education program development included designing seminars for practicing attorneys about constitutional interpretation and appellate practice that required comprehensive understanding of legal doctrine while developing educational materials and presentation skills. The program coordination demanded expertise in constitutional law while building professional relationships within Massachusetts legal community that could provide support for eventual judicial nomination. These educational responsibilities demonstrated commitment to professional development and legal education that aligns with judicial service obligation. Professional mentorship relationships with distinguished federal and state appellate judges provided guidance about judicial career development and constitutional interpretation philosophy that influenced understanding of judicial responsibilities and decision-making process. The mentorship included observation of appellate oral arguments and judicial conference participation that revealed sophisticated approaches to constitutional reasoning and precedent application. These relationships provided invaluable insight into judicial service expectations and professional development necessary for effective appellate court responsibilities. Isabella's pharmaceutical career advancement during this same period included promotion to National Accounts Manager with supervisory responsibilities over regional sales teams and substantially increased compensation that enabled lifestyle improvements, including luxury condominium purchase and international vacation travel. Her professional recognition included company awards and industry acknowledgments, provided visible measures of achievement and financial success that contrasted with the academic and professional development activities that characterized my constitutional law specialization and judicial career preparation. Family gatherings continued to provide opportunities for relatives to compare our career trajectories and question the practical wisdom of continued public service when private practice opportunities offered immediate financial improvement and measurable professional advancement. The constitutional law specialization and academic activities appeared abstract and impractical compared to Isabella's tangible business achievements and compensation improvement that family members could understand and appreciate as evidence of professional success and practical accomplishment. Extended family discussions about career planning consistently emphasized financial security and material advancement over public service, contribution, and constitutional protection, responsibilities that define judicial service, mission, and professional obligations. The advice reflected genuine concern for long-term economic stability, combined with limited understanding of judicial careers and the satisfaction derived from constitutional interpretation and precedent development that affects fundamental rights and governmental operations throughout Massachusetts and beyond. Networking activities within constitutional law community included American Bar Association, section, participation, and judicial conference attendance that provided exposure to distinguished legal scholars and appellate practitioners who could provide support for eventual judicial nomination consideration. The networking required building relationships based on professional competence and constitutional expertise while maintaining authentic commitment to public service and judicial excellence rather than personal advancement or political consideration that might compromise judicial independence and constitutional interpretation. And constitutional scholarship activities included law review article publication and academic conference presentations that required original research and sophisticated analysis of emerging constitutional issues and judicial precedent development. The scholarship demanded rigorous research and peer review while building professional reputation within academic and practicing legal communities that evaluate judicial qualifications and temperament for appellate court service. The published work demonstrated expertise in constitutional interpretation while contributing to legal education and professional development throughout Massachusetts' legal community.
Advanced litigation experience through complex appellate cases provided practical application of constitutional analysis and precedent research, while developing courtroom advocacy skills necessary for effective judicial service preparation. The appellate practice required sophisticated legal reasoning and oral argument capabilities, while building professional reputation for constitutional expertise and appellate advocacy excellence. This litigation experience provided comprehensive preparation for judicial service through practical application of constitutional interpretation and precedent analysis in adversarial legal proceedings. Professional development seminars and judicial education programs provided continuing education about constitutional interpretation methodologies and comparative jurisprudence that could inform sophisticated understanding of judicial reasoning and precedent application. The education program included presentation opportunities and curriculum development responsibilities that required mastery of constitutional doctrine while building professional relationships within judicial education community that supports ongoing professional development and excellence in judicial service. The systematic accumulation of constitutional expertise and judicial qualifications through fellowship experience, academic scholarship, professional development activities, created comprehensive preparation for eventual judicial appointment consideration and constitutional interpretation responsibilities. The specialized knowledge and professional relationships developed through this intensive learning phase would prove essential for successful judicial nomination processes and effective appellate court service that requires exceptional competence in constitutional analysis and precedent development that affects fundamental rights and governmental operations throughout Massachusetts and influences constitutional jurisprudence development. The identification of judicial appointment opportunities required sophisticated understanding of Massachusetts' judicial selection processes and strategic positioning within professional networks that could influence nomination consideration and confirmation proceeding. The recognition that Superior Court vacancies would emerge through anticipated retirements and federal appointments demanded systematic preparation of credentials and professional relationships that could support successful nomination when opportunities arose. This strategic career planning required balancing continued excellence in constitutional practice with deliberate cultivation of political relationships and professional recognition that characterize successful judicial appointment process. The Massachusetts judicial nomination system operated through complex interaction between gubernatorial appointment authority, legislative confirmation requirement, and professional evaluation processes conducted by bar associations and judicial nominating commissions that assessed candidate qualifications and temperament for judicial service. Understanding these mechanisms required careful study of previous appointment patterns and consultation with experienced practitioners who had successfully navigated nomination processes or participated in candidate evaluation procedures that influence gubernatorial selection decisions and legislative confirmation outcomes. Governor Sarah Mitchell had established judicial appointment criteria that emphasized constitutional expertise, professional excellence, and commitment to public service, while maintaining appropriate diversity in judicial selection that reflected Massachusetts' demographic composition and legal community representation. Her appointment philosophy prioritized merit-based selection while considering geographic distribution and professional background diversity that could enhance court effectiveness and public confidence in judicial decision-making processes. These selection criteria aligned favorably with my professional background and constitutional specialization that distinguished my qualifications from traditional litigation practitioners seeking judicial advancement. The Superior Court vacancy anticipated through Justice Robert Thompson's planned retirement represented exceptional opportunity for judicial appointment consideration given my constitutional expertise and appellate experience that matched the court's increasing caseload involving complex constitutional issues and precedent development. Justice Thompson had served with distinction for 18 years, while building reputation for constitutional analysis and precedent interpretation that required replacement with similarly qualified jurist possessing sophisticated understanding of appellate reasoning and constitutional jurisprudence that characterizes exceptional judicial service. Strategic relationship building within Massachusetts' legal community required authentic professional engagement, rather than superficial networking, that could compromise integrity and professional reputation essential for judicial consideration. The approach involved substantive participation in bar association activities, constitutional law conferences, and professional development programs that demonstrated genuine commitment to legal excellence, while building relationships based on shared professional values and constitutional interpretation philosophy that aligns with judicial service obligations and professional ethics requirements. Professional recognition through constitutional law scholarship and appellate practice success provided foundation for judicial appointment consideration while demonstrating expertise in areas directly relevant to Superior Court responsibilities and constitutional interpretation duties. Published scholarship and appellate victories established credibility within legal community that could influence nomination support while building professional reputation for constitutional analysis and judicial reasoning capabilities that characterize exceptional appellate court service, precedent development, responsibility. Bar association leadership opportunities included constitutional law section chairmanship and judicial evaluation committee participation that provided visibility within professional organizations that participate in judicial selection processes and candidate evaluation procedures. Leadership positions required demonstrating both professional competence and ethical standards while building relationships with distinguished practitioners and judges who could provide support during nomination consideration and confirmation proceedings that determine judicial appointment outcome. The Massachusetts Bar Association judicial evaluation process required comprehensive assessment of professional qualifications, ethical standards, and temperament considerations that influence judicial appointment recommendations and gubernatorial selection decision. Preparation for the evaluation demanded systematic documentation of professional achievements while cultivating relationships with colleagues and judges who could provide credible testimony about qualifications and judicial temperament necessary for effective court service and constitutional interpretation responsibilities. Political relationship development required careful navigation of partisan considerations while maintaining judicial independence and professional integrity that must characterize effective judicial service, regardless of political pressures or partisan expectations, compromise constitutional interpretation, and precedent application. The approach involved building relationships based on shared commitment to constitutional principles rather than partisan political alignment that could undermine judicial credibility and decision-making independence, essential for effective appellate court service. Academic credentials enhanced through continuing legal education and judicial training programs provided additional qualifications while demonstrating ongoing commitment to professional development and judicial excellence that distinguish exceptional candidates from qualified practitioners seeking career advancement. The educational activities included constitutional interpretation seminars and comparative jurisprudence programs that provided sophisticated understanding of judicial reasoning and precedent development methodologies essential for effective appellate court responsibility. Professional mentorship from distinguished federal and state appellate judges provided guidance about judicial appointment processes and preparation strategies while building relationships that could support nomination consideration and confirmation proceedings. These mentorship relations included observation of appellate court operations and participation in judicial conferences that provided practical understanding of judicial responsibilities and decision-making processes that characterize effective constitutional interpretation and precedent development duties. Isabel's pharmaceutical career trajectory during this strategic preparation period included promotion to Vice President of National Accounts with executive compensation and equity participation that provided substantial financial rewards and lifestyle enhancements that contrasted sharply with the continued modest compensation and professional development focus that characterized my judicial appointment preparation activity. Her professional recognition included industry awards and executive leadership opportunities that provided visible measures of conventional success and achievement that family members could readily understand and appreciate. Family discussions about career development continued to emphasize financial advancement and material success over professional service and constitutional contribution that define judicial responsibilities and public service commitment. That comparative analysis of our professional trajectory consistently favored Isabella's business achievements and compensation growth, while questioning the practical wisdom of continued public service focus when private practice opportunities could provide immediate financial improvement and measurable professional advancement that aligned conventional success metrics. Extended family gatherings provided regular opportunities for relatives to offer career advice that emphasized financial security and conventional achievement markers, while expressing concern about the apparent impracticality of pursuing judicial appointment. Private practice partnerships could provide substantial compensation increases and retirement security that public service careers typically cannot match. These well-intentioned discussions reflected genuine family concern combined with limited understanding of judicial service satisfaction and constitutional interpretation significance that transcends monetary compensation consideration. Professional networking within judicial appointment circles required building relationships with former governors, legislative leaders, and judicial appointment advisors who could provide insight into selection processes and candidate evaluation criteria that influence gubernatorial nomination decisions. These relationships demanded authentic professional engagement and demonstrated constitutional expertise while maintaining appropriate boundaries between professional relationship building and political influence seeking that could compromise judicial independence and selection integrity. Constitutional Law Conference presentations provided opportunities for professional visibility while demonstrating expertise in areas directly relevant to judicial responsibilities and appellate court decision-making processes. The presentation opportunities required sophisticated analysis of emerging constitutional issues while building professional reputation within academic and practicing legal communities that participate in judicial evaluation and nomination support activity. These scholarly activities demonstrated commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence while building credibility within professional networks that influence judicial selection processes. Appellate practice specialization through complex constitutional cases provided practical demonstration of judicial qualifications while building professional reputation for constitutional expertise and appellate advocacy excellence that could support judicial appointment consideration. The appellate victories and sophisticated legal reasoning, demonstrated in briefs and oral arguments, provided concrete evidence of qualifications for judicial service while building relationships with appellate court judges who could evaluate temperament and competence for judicial responsibility. Professional publication activities included constitutional law journal articles and judicial process analysis that demonstrated scholarly expertise while contributing to legal education and professional development within Massachusetts' legal community. The published scholarship required rigorous research and peer review while building professional recognition for constitutional interpretation capabilities and judicial reasoning. Understanding that characterize exceptional preparation for appellate court service and precedent development responsibilities. The systematic cultivation, professional relationships, and demonstration of constitutional expertise through scholarship and appellate practice created comprehensive foundation for judicial appointment consideration when opportunities arose through anticipated judicial retirements and court expansion. The strategic preparation required patience and sustained excellence while maintaining authentic commitment to professional development and constitutional service, rather than personal advancement or political consideration that might compromise judicial integrity and decision-making independence. Continuing legal education leadership included program development and curriculum design for constitutional interpretation seminars that required mastery of judicial reasoning and precedent analysis, while building professional relationships within legal education community that supports judicial development and excellence in constitutional interpretation. These educational leadership responsibilities demonstrated commitment to professional development and legal education that aligns with judicial service obligations and continuing education requirements for effective appellate court responsibility. The comprehensive preparation for judicial appointment opportunity through constitutional expertise development, professional relationship building, and strategic positioning within Massachusetts' legal community created optimal foundation for successful nomination consideration when Superior Court vacancy emerged through Justice Thompson's planned retirement.
the accumulated credentials and professional recognition provided qualifications for judicial service, while demonstrating sustained commitment to constitutional interpretation and public service that characterizes exceptional judicial candidates and effective appellate court decision-making responsibility. The formal announcement of Justice Robert Thompson's retirement from the Massachusetts Superior Court created the anticipated opportunity for judicial appointment that required immediate and strategic action to position myself as the optimal candidate for gubernatorial nomination. The retirement announcement appeared in the Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly on a Tuesday morning in March, providing approximately 6 weeks for interested candidates to prepare comprehensive application tables and cultivate professional support before the governor's Judicial Selection Committee would begin formal evaluation process. This timeline demanded rapid mobilization of professional networks while maintaining excellence in current responsibilities and avoiding any appearance of presumption or inappropriate political lobbying that could compromise candidacy or professional reputation. The judicial application process required comprehensive documentation of professional qualifications, constitutional expertise, and community service that demonstrated readiness for superior court responsibilities and appellate decision-making. The application materials included detailed curriculum vitae highlighting constitutional scholarship and appellate practice experience, comprehensive writing samples demonstrating judicial reasoning capability, and extensive reference lists encompassing distinguished practitioners and judges who could attest to professional competence and judicial temperament necessary for effective court service. The preparation of these materials demanded careful curation of professional achievements, while presenting qualifications in formats that would resonate with gubernatorial advisors and legislative confirmation committee. Professional reference cultivation required systematic outreach to colleagues and mentors who possessed credible authority to evaluate judicial qualifications and could provide compelling testimony about constitutional expertise and professional integrity, essential for effective judicial service. The reference solicitation process included detailed briefings about the Superior Court position and my qualifications, while providing comprehensive information about the judicial selection timeline and evaluation criteria that would influence gubernatorial decision-making process. These conversations required delicate balance between appropriate advocacy and professional humility that maintains collegial relationships regardless of appointment outcome. Chief Justice William Harrison agreed to serve as primary professional reference based on direct observation of constitutional research capabilities and judicial reasoning development during the Supreme Judicial Court Fellowship experience. His reference letter emphasized both technical legal competence and broader understanding of judicial philosophy that guides appellate court decision-making and precedent development responsibility. The Chief Justice reference carried exceptional weight within gubernatorial evaluation processes, while demonstrating institutional support for my judicial qualifications and constitutional interpretation expertise that distinguished my candidacy from other qualified applicants. Justice Patricia Morrison provided additional reference, focusing on specific constitutional research projects and appellate practice experience that demonstrated practical application of judicial reasoning and precedent analysis in complex legal proceedings. Her assessment emphasized both analytical capabilities and professional integrity that characterize effective judicial service, while highlighting specific examples of constitutional interpretation excellence that could inform superior court responsibilities and appellate decision-making authority. The Justice Morrison reference provided crucial validation of judicial temperament and constitutional expertise from a distinguished practitioner with direct knowledge of my professional capability. The Massachusetts Bar Association evaluation process required formal interview with Judicial Screening Committee that assessed professional qualifications, ethical standards, and judicial temperament through comprehensive questioning about constitutional interpretation philosophy and approach to appellate decision-making responsibility. The interview preparation demanded thorough review of recent Superior Court decisions and constitutional antecedents, while developing clear articulation of judicial philosophy that balanced legal precedent with evolving social circumstances that influence constitutional interpretation. The evaluation committee included distinguished practitioners and former judges, whose assessment would significantly influence gubernatorial selection decisions. Professional networking intensification required strategic engagement with Bar Association leaders, former gubernatorial advisors, and legislative committee members, who participate in judicial confirmation processes and candidate evaluation procedure. These relationship-building activities demanded authentic professional engagement rather than superficial political lobbying, while demonstrating sustained commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence and public service that characterizes effective judicial candidates. The networking approach emphasized professional competence and constitutional expertise rather than personal advancement or political consideration that might compromise judicial independence. Isabella's reaction to my judicial appointment pursuit reflected mixture of genuine surprise and subtle skepticism about the practicality of seeking judicial position when private practice partnerships could provide immediate financial improvement and measurable professional advance. Her initial response included supportive encouragement, combined with pointed questions about compensation levels and career advancement opportunities within judicial service, compared to private sector legal practice that offered partnership tracks and substantial income potential. These conversations revealed her continuing preference for conventional success metrics, while acknowledging the prestige associated with judicial appointment and constitutional interpretation responsibility. Family discussions about the judicial appointment opportunity provided mixed reactions ranging from pride about potential achievement to concern about continued public service focus when private practice alternatives could provide better financial security and retirement planning advantages. Extended family response included genuine excitement about judicial prestige combined with practical questions about compensation and advancement that reflected ongoing skepticism about public service careers compared to private sector opportunities that offered more predictable financial and lifestyle improvements. The Gubernatorial Judicial Advisory Committee included distinguished attorneys and former judges who evaluated candidate qualifications through comprehensive review of professional achievements, constitutional expertise, and community service records that demonstrated readiness for judicial responsibilities. The committee evaluation process required submission of detailed questionnaires about judicial philosophy and constitutional interpretation methodology, while providing opportunities for personal interviews that assessed communication skills and judicial temperament necessary for effective court service and appellate decision-making authority. Professional presentation preparation for advisory committee interview required developing clear articulation of constitutional interpretation approach and judicial decision-making philosophy that balanced legal precedent with contemporary application of fundamental rights principle. The presentation demanded comprehensive understanding of Massachusetts constitutional law and federal constitutional precedents, while demonstrating practical application of judicial reasoning in complex legal scenarios that characterize Superior Court responsibility. The interview preparation included mock questioning sessions with experienced practitioners who could simulate advisory committee evaluation procedures and provide feedback about presentation effectiveness. Legislative outreach activities included courtesy meetings with Senate and House Judiciary Committee members who would participate in confirmation proceedings if gubernatorial nomination occurred. These meetings required careful navigation of political relationships, while maintaining appropriate boundaries between professional qualification presentation and political lobbying that could compromise judicial independence or nomination integrity. The legislative meetings emphasized constitutional expertise and professional qualifications, while building relationships based on shared commitment to judicial excellence, rather than partisan political line. Community organization endorsements provided additional credibility for judicial candidacy, while demonstrating broad professional support from diverse constituencies that could influence gubernatorial selection decisions and legislative confirmation process. The endorsement cultivation required systematic outreach to legal aid organizations, bar associations, and professional development groups that could attest to public service commitment and constitutional interpretation capabilities essential for effective judicial. These organizational endorsements provided validation of community support and professional recognition that strengthened overall candidacy, presentation, constitutional law scholarship. Publication acceleration included completion of pending law review articles, and judicial process analysis could enhance professional credentials during evaluation period, while demonstrating ongoing commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence and legal education contribution. The publication activities required intensive research and writing while maintaining excellence in current professional responsibilities and judicial application preparation that demanded comprehensive time management and priority coordination throughout the evaluation timeline. Professional development activities during the evaluation period included participation in judicial education seminars and constitutional interpretation conferences that demonstrated ongoing commitment to judicial excellence, while building additional relationships within judicial community that could provide support for appointment consideration. These educational activities required careful balance between professional development and appropriate restraint that avoided any appearance of presumption about appointment outcomes or inappropriate influence seeking that could compromise candidacy integrity. Media attention surrounding the judicial vacancy created opportunities for professional visibility, while requiring careful navigation of public relations considerations that could influence gubernatorial evaluation and community perception of candidacy. The media engagement required strategic communication about constitutional expertise and professional expertise, while maintaining appropriate judicial temperament and avoiding political commentary that could compromise judicial. The public presentation demanded balance between professional confidence and appropriate humility that characterizes effective judicial candidate. Professional colleagues' support mobilization included systematic outreach to former classmates, appellate practitioners, and constitutional law scholars who could provide additional references and testimony about judicial qualifications and temperament necessary for effective court service. The colleague engagement required clear communication about appointment timeline and evaluation criteria, while requesting specific support that could enhance candidacy without creating obligations or expectations that might compromise professional relationships regardless of appointment outcome. The comprehensive application submission represented culmination of years of strategic preparation and professional development, while marking formal entry into gubernatorial evaluation process that would determine judicial appointment outcomes. The application materials demonstrated constitutional expertise and profession qualification, while presenting comprehensive narrative about public service commitment and judicial reasoning capabilities that distinguished my candidacy from other qualified applicants seeking superior court appointment consideration. Professional anxiety management during evaluation period required maintaining excellence in current responsibilities, while managing uncertainty about appointment outcomes and timeline that could significantly influence career trajectory and personal fulfillment opportunity. The psychological preparation included developing contingency plans for alternative career paths, while maintaining optimism about appointment possibilities and continued commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence regardless of immediate outcome. The evaluation period demanded sustained professional performance while navigating complex emotional responses to potential life-changing opportunities and career advancement possibilities. The initial response to my judicial candidacy revealed unexpected sources of professional and institutional resistance that required strategic navigation while maintaining dignity and professional integrity. Throughout the evaluation, several prominent members of the Massachusetts legal establishment questioned whether my constitutional expertise and appellate experience, though impressive academic, provided sufficient practical trial court background for effective superior court service that demanded extensive jury trial management and complex case administration responsibility. This criticism reflected traditional expectation about judicial expenditure preparation pathways, while revealing institutional biases favoring conventional litigation practice over constitutional specialization and appellate advocacy. The skepticism urged most prominently from Partners and Associates, the state's largest law firm, whose senior litigation partners had expected one of their experienced trial attorneys to receive serious consideration for the Superior Court vacancy.
Managing partner Jonathan Whitfield publicly questioned whether constitutional scholarship and appellate practice provided adequate preparation for the administrative complexities and daily procedural demands that characterize effective trial court operations and case management responsibilities. His criticism appeared in Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly and generated subsequent editorial commentary that questioned gubernatorial appointment criteria and candidate evaluation methodologies used for judicial selection processes. Professional resistance also emerged from the Massachusetts Defense Lawyers Association, whose executive committee expressed concerns about my prosecutorial background and constitutional interpretation philosophy that they characterized as potentially biased toward governmental authority rather than individual rights protection that defines effective criminal defense advocacy. Association's formal letter to Governor Mitchell emphasized the importance of appointing judges with balanced perspective on constitutional rights and governmental limitations, while questioning whether extensive prosecution experience might compromise impartiality in criminal proceedings. Constitutional interpretation responsibilities. The Massachusetts Women's Bar Association initially withheld endorsement pending further evaluation of my judicial philosophy and constitutional interpretation methodology, despite my obvious qualifications as a female candidate who could enhance gender diversity on the Superior Court. Association's Judicial Evaluation Committee requested additional information about my approach to employment discrimination cases and family law matters that might reflect gender bias or inadequate sensitivity to women's rights issues within legal proceedings and constitutional interpretation responsibilities. The most unexpected resistance emerged from State Senator Margaret O'Brien, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who questioned whether my academic credentials and constitutional expertise demonstrated sufficient connection to Massachusetts' legal community, concerns and practical understanding of state court operations that serve diverse populations throughout the Commonwealth. Senator O'Brien's skepticism reflected political considerations about judicial appointments and geographic representation, while raising legitimate questions about my preparation for managing Superior Court responsibilities and jurisdictions outside metropolitan Boston area. These various forms of resistance required developing comprehensive response strategies that addressed legitimate concerns while challenging unfair characterizations and institutional biases that could compromise evaluation processes and appointment consideration. The response approach emphasized demonstrating practical competence and community connection, while maintaining professional dignity and avoiding defensive reactions that might validate criticism or create additional opposition from influential legal community members who could affect gubernatorial decision-making and legislative confirmation processes. The Massachusetts Bar Association Evaluation Committee interview provided the first formal opportunity to address skepticism about my qualifications while demonstrating judicial temperament and constitutional expertise that could inform effective Superior Court service. The interview questions included specific scenarios about trial management, jury instruction, and sentencing decisions that required practical application of legal knowledge, while revealing approach to judicial decision-making and procedural administration that characterizes effective trial court operation. Committee Chair Robert Stevens posed challenging questions about managing complex civil litigation involving multiple parties and procedural complications that required immediate judicial resolution without extensive research or appellate consultation opportunity. The scenarios demanded demonstrating practical problem-solving capabilities while maintaining appropriate judicial demeanor and constitutional analysis that could inform procedural decisions and case management responsibilities throughout diverse Superior Court proceedings. Justice Catherine Walsh, serving as committee member, questioned my approach to criminal sentencing and constitutional interpretation in cases involving mandatory minimums and prosecutorial discretion that might reveal potential bias from prosecutorial background or constitutional philosophy that could compromise impartial judicial decision-making. The questioning required articulating balanced perspective on constitutional rights and governmental authority, while demonstrating understanding of judicial independence and constitutional limitations that define effective criminal justice administration and individual rights protection. The committee evaluation process included detailed review of my constitutional law scholarship and appellate briefs that provided evidence of legal reasoning capabilities and judicial temperament development through professional practice and academic research. Committee members expressed particular interest in my analysis of equal protection, jurisprudence, and due process interpretation that could influence Superior Court decision-making in civil rights cases and constitutional challenges to state governmental authority and regulatory enforcement procedures. Professional colleague testimonies during the evaluation process provided crucial support for addressing skepticism while demonstrating broad recognition of constitutional expertise and judicial qualifications from distinguished practitioners and judges who could attest to professional competence and temperament necessary for effective court service. Chief Justice Harrison's testimony emphasized both technical legal competence and practical understanding of judicial administration that could inform Superior Court responsibilities and case management duties. Federal District Judge Maria Santos provided testimony about my appellate advocacy experience and constitutional analysis capabilities that demonstrated practical application of judicial reasoning and complex legal proceedings involving federal and state constitutional interpretation. Her assessment emphasized professional integrity and legal reasoning that could inform effective judicial decision-making, while highlighting specific examples of constitutional interpretation excellence that distinguished my qualifications from conventional trial practice experience. The response to partners and associates' criticism required demonstrating understanding of trial court operations while highlighting advantages that constitutional expertise and appellate experience could provide for Superior Court decision-making and precedent development responsibility. The strategy involved emphasizing comprehensive legal education and diverse practice experience that could enhance rather than limit judicial effectiveness, while challenging assumptions about optimal judicial preparation pathways and candidate evaluation criteria. Professional presentation opportunities at Massachusetts Bar Association events provided platforms for addressing skepticism while demonstrating judicial temperament and constitutional expertise through substantive legal analysis and professional interaction with diverse audiences, including critics and supporters of my candidacy. The presentations required careful balance between confidence and humility, while avoiding political commentary or inappropriate advocacy that could compromise judicial independence or evaluation integrity. The Massachusetts Defense Lawyers Association concerns required addressing perceptions about prosecutorial bias while demonstrating commitment to constitutional rights protection and individual liberty that transcends professional background considerations and partisan political alignment. The response emphasized constitutional interpretation methodology and judicial independence philosophy that prioritizes legal precedent and constitutional analysis over personal background or professional experience considerations that might influence decision-making process. Community outreach activities provided opportunities for demonstrating connection to diverse Massachusetts populations while addressing concerns about geographic representation and cultural sensitivity that could influence Superior Court effectiveness throughout the Commonwealth jurisdiction. The outreach included speaking engagements at community organizations and professional development programs that demonstrated commitment to accessible justice and equal protection under law, regardless of demographic characteristics or economic circumstances. Isabella's response to the professional resistance and public criticism reflected mixture of protective family loyalty and concern about potential career damage from unsuccessful judicial appointment pursuit that could affect future opportunities and professional reputation within Massachusetts' legal community. Her perspective emphasized practical considerations about managing professional setbacks while maintaining optimism about eventual success through alternative pathways or subsequent appointment opportunities that might provide better timing and political circumstance. Family discussions about managing criticism and professional opposition provided opportunities for developing emotional resilience and strategic thinking about maintaining professional relationships regardless of appointment outcomes and potential disappointment from unsuccessful candidacy pursuit. The family support included encouragement for persistence while acknowledging legitimate concerns about professional risks and potential career complications that could result from public evaluation processes and political scrutiny. The systematic response to resistance and skepticism required maintaining excellence in current professional responsibilities while dedicating substantial time and energy to candidacy promotion and relationship building that could influence evaluation outcomes and gubernatorial decision-making processes. The comprehensive approach demanded exceptional time management and priority coordination while avoiding any compromise of professional integrity or constitutional interpretation excellence that defined my qualifications and judicial temperament throughout the evaluation period. Professional development activities during the resistance management period included participation in judicial education programs and constitutional interpretation seminars that demonstrated ongoing commitment to judicial excellence while building additional relationships within judicial community that could provide support and testimony about qualifications and temperament necessary for effective court service. These educational activities provided opportunities for demonstrating practical competence while maintaining professional visibility and credibility throughout the evaluation timeline. Navigation of institutional resistance and professional skepticism required developing sophisticated understanding of legal community politics and judicial appointment dynamics, while maintaining authentic commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence and public service that transcend personal advancement considerations and political influence seeking. The experience provided valuable education about leadership under scrutiny while building resilience and strategic thinking capabilities that would prove essential for eventual judicial service and constitutional interpretation responsibilities. Legislative relationship building during resistance management period required careful navigation of political considerations while maintaining appropriate boundaries between professional qualification presentation and partisan political engagement that could compromise judicial independence or appointment integrity. The approach emphasized constitutional expertise and professional qualifications while building relationships based on shared commitment to judicial excellence, rather than political alliance or partisan consideration that might influence confirmation proceedings. The comprehensive management, resistance and skepticisms demonstrated professional maturity and judicial temperament, while providing evidence of capabilities necessary for effective judicial service under challenging circumstances and complex political environments that characterize contemporary court operations. Constitutional interpretation responsibilities throughout Massachusetts' judicial system and broader legal community expectations. The systematic establishment of credible judicial qualifications required demonstrating exceptional performance across multiple professional dimensions, while addressing specific concerns raised during the initial evaluation period through concrete achievements and measurable contributions to Massachusetts' legal community development. The credibility building process demanded excellence in current constitutional practice while developing new competencies in areas where critics had questioned preparation for superior court responsibilities, including trial court administration and community legal service delivery throughout diverse Commonwealth jurisdictions. The Massachusetts Judicial Institute invitation to present constitutional interpretation methodology to sitting Superior Court judges provided unprecedented opportunity to demonstrate practical understanding of trial court operations while sharing constitutional expertise that could enhance judicial decision-making throughout the state court system. The presentation requirement included develop comprehensive curriculum about federal and state constitutional precedent, application in complex civil and criminal proceedings that required immediate judicial resolution without extensive appellate consultation or academic research opportunities that characterize law review scholarship and constitutional fellowship experiences. Superior Court Judge Michael Chen attended the Judicial Institute presentation and subsequently requested consultation about pending constitutional challenges in complex civil rights litigation involving employment discrimination and equal protection analysis that required sophisticated understanding of federal constitutional precedent and Massachusetts constitutional interpretation. The consultation opportunity provided practical demonstration of constitutional interpretation application in trial court proceedings while building professional relations with experienced judges who could evaluate competence and judicial temperament through direct observation and collaborative legal analysis. The consultation with Judge Chen involved comprehensive analysis of Supreme Court equal protection, jurisprudence, and circuit court interpretations that could inform Massachusetts constitutional analysis and precedent development in state court proceedings. The legal research required synthesizing federal constitutional doctrine with Massachusetts precedent while providing practical guidance about jury instruction and evidentiary standards that could affect case outcomes and appellate review proceedings. The collaborative analysis demonstrated both constitutional expertise and practical understanding of trial court operations that addressed previous skepticism about academic preparation versus litigation. Society resulted in appointment as principal researcher for comprehensive analysis of Massachusetts constitutional development and precedent evolution that would support centennial celebration of state constitutional interpretation achievement, investigation, and constitutional scholarship that demonstrated both historical understanding and contemporary application of Massachusetts constitutional principles that distinguish state constitutional law from federal constitutional interpretation and precedent development. History Research Project provided opportunities for collaboration with distinguished constitutional scholars and retired Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court justices who could evaluate research capabilities and constitutional interpretation methodology through direct academic and professional interaction. The project's supervision included former Chief Justice Eleanor Richardson, whose assessment of constitutional analysis and legal reasoning would carry exceptional weight within Massachusetts
legal community and gubernatorial evaluation processes for judicial appointment consideration. Publication of constitutional interpretation of analysis in Harvard Law Review generated significant professional recognition while demonstrating scholarly capabilities that could inform superior court decision-making and precedent development responsibilities throughout Massachusetts' judicial system. The Law Review article examined evolution of Massachusetts' equal protection analysis and due process interpretation that provided practical guidance for trial court judges while contributing to constitutional scholarship and legal education within Massachusetts' legal community and constitutional interpretation discourse. The Harvard Law Review publication attracted attention from federal circuit court judges and constitutional law scholars who requested additional analysis about state constitutional interpretation, methodology and precedent development that could inform federal constitutional analysis and comparative constitutional scholarship. The scholarly recognition provided validation of constitutional expertise while building professional relationships within federal judicial community that could support future career advancement and constitutional interpretation responsibilities at state or federal appellate court levels. Speaking engagement opportunities at American Bar Association constitutional law conferences provided national platforms for demonstrating constitutional expertise while building professional recognition. Massachusetts legal community boundaries. The presentation required sophisticated analysis of contemporary constitutional issues and precedent development that could inform judicial decision-making at state and federal levels, while demonstrating communication skills and professional presence that characterize effective judicial service and legal education responsibilities. American Bar Association presentation about Massachusetts constitutional interpretation received recognition from distinguished federal appellate judges who expressed interest in continued collaboration about state constitutional development and federal constitutional precedent application. Diverse jurisdictional context. The professional recognition provided evidence of national constitutional expertise while building relationships that could support judicial appointment, consideration, and future constitutional interpretation responsibility within Massachusetts or federal judicial system. Professional consultation requests from Massachusetts appellate practitioners increased substantially following the Harvard Law Review publication and national conference presentation that demonstrated constitutional expertise and practical application capabilities for complex legal proceedings.
The consultation opportunities included case strategy development and appellate brief analysis that required immediate practical application of constitutional principles while building professional relationships with experienced practitioners who could evaluate competence and provide testimony about judicial qualifications and temperament. The appellate practice consultations involved constitutional analysis for cases pending before Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court and federal circuit courts that required sophisticated understanding of precedent development and constitutional interpretation methodology. The collaborative lead analysis provided practical demonstration of constitutional expertise application while building credibility within appellate practice community that could influence judicial evaluation processes and professional recognition for constitutional interpretation excellence and judicial reasoning. Capabilities. Massachusetts Bar Association Committee appointment to Constitutional Law Section Executive Board provided leadership opportunities while demonstrating professional recognition and colleague confidence in constitutional expertise and professional judgment that could inform legal community policy development and continuing legal education program design. The committee leadership required coordinating constitutional interpretation seminars and professional development programs that served Massachusetts legal community while building relationships with distinguished practitioners and judges throughout the Commonwealth. The Constitutional Law Section leadership responsibilities included organizing annual Constitutional Interpretation Conference that brought together federal and state appellate judges with distinguished constitutional scholars and practicing attorneys for comprehensive analysis of emerging constitutional issues and precedent development. The conference coordination required exceptional organizational skills and professional relationship management, while providing opportunities for demonstrating leadership capabilities and constitutional expertise to diverse legal community audiences. Federal District Court appointment is Special Master for complex constitutional litigation involving state, governmental authority and individual rights protection provided practical experience with federal court operations, while demonstrating judicial temperament and constitutional analysis capabilities under judicial supervision and evaluation. The special master appointment required managing complex discovery procedures and constitutional analysis that could inform federal court decision-making, while providing opportunity for federal judges to evaluate competence and judicial temperament through direct observation and collaboration. Special master responsibilities included comprehensive constitutional analysis and procedural administration that required immediate decision-making about complex legal issues, while maintaining appropriate judicial demeanor and constitutional interpretation excellence under federal court supervision. The federal court experience provided practical demonstration of judicial capabilities while building professional relationships with federal judges who could provide testimony about constitutional expertise and judicial temperament necessary for effective state court service appellate decision-making responsibilities. Isabella's pharmaceutical career advancement during this credibility-building period included promotion to Executive Vice President, with national responsibility for strategic market development and executive compensation that reflected substantial business achievement and leadership recognition within pharmaceutical industry. Her professional success included industry awards and executive recognition that provided measurable evidence of conventional business achievement, while highlighting continued compensation disparity between pharmaceutical executive compensation and judicial service financial limitation. Family discussions about professional achievement comparison continued to emphasize Isabella's business success and financial advancement, while acknowledging growing recognition of my constitutional expertise and professional development within Massachusetts legal community. The family perspective reflected mixture of pride about professional recognition and continued concern about practical career considerations, including compensation limitations and advancement opportunities within judicial service compared to private sector, legal practice, or business executive position. Gatherings provided opportunities for sharing professional achievement and recognition while addressing continuing questions about career practicality and financial security that judicial service could provide compared to private practice, partnerships, or business executive opportunities offered more substantial compensation and conventional success metrics. The discussions revealed growing family appreciation for constitutional expertise and professional recognition while maintaining practical concerns about long-term financial planning and retirement security considerations. Professional networking expansion within Massachusetts legal community resulted from increased visibility through constitutional scholarship and speaking engagements that demonstrated expertise and professional recognition from diverse constituencies, including practicing attorney, appellate judges, and constitutional scholars who could influence judicial evaluation processes and gubernatorial appointment consideration. The networking opportunities required authentic professional engagement while building relationships based on shared commitment to constitutional interpretation excellence rather than personal advancement or political consideration. Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court consultation opportunity increased substantially following demonstration of constitutional expertise and practical application capabilities through special master appointment and appellate practice collaboration that provided evidence of judicial qualifications and constitutional interpretation excellence. Judicial court consultation requests included constitutional analysis for pending cases and procedural policy development that required sophisticated understanding of Massachusetts constitutional precedent and federal constitutional interpretation that could inform state court decision-making or precedent development. The Supreme Judicial Court collaboration provided opportunities for interaction with sitting justices who could evaluate constitutional expertise and judicial temperament through direct professional collaboration and constitutional analysis. Review experiences required exceptional legal reasoning and constitutional interpretation while demonstrating professional competence and judicial demeanor that could inform evaluation of qualifications for superior court appointment and eventual appellate court advancement within Massachusetts' judicial system. Professional recognition acceleration through constitutional scholarship, publication, and practical legal analysis application created comprehensive demonstration of judicial qualifications while addressing specific concerns raised during initial evaluation period about academic preparation versus practical litigation experience and community legal service delivery throughout diverse Massachusetts jurisdictions. The credibility establishment required sustained excellence across multiple professional dimensions while building authentic relationships within legal community that could support judicial appointment, consideration, and confirmation proceedings. The systematic expansion of professional influence within Massachusetts' legal community required leveraging established credibility to create broader impact on constitutional interpretation and judicial education, while building networks of support that extended beyond immediate geographical boundaries and professional special influence. Expansion process demanded strategic thinking about how constitutional expertise could inform legal education and policy development throughout New England, while maintaining authentic commitment to judicial service preparation and community legal advancement, rather than personal recognition or political consideration that might compromise professional integrity. The New England Judicial Conference invitation to serve as constitutional interpretation curriculum coordinator represented significant recognition of scholarly expertise and practical legal analysis capabilities that could enhance judicial education throughout the regional court systems. Curriculum development responsibility required comprehensive analysis of federal and state constitutional precedent, while designing educational programs that could inform judicial decision-making across diverse jurisdictional contexts and varying levels of constitutional expertise. Judges and court administrative personnel. Constitutional interpretation curriculum design demanded sophisticated understanding of judicial education methodology and adult learning principles that could effectively communicate complex constitutional doctrine to experienced practitioners and judges whose professional responsibilities required immediate application of constitutional principles in trial court proceedings and appellate decision-making processes. The educational program development required collaboration with distinguished constitutional scholars and experienced appellate judges who could evaluate curriculum effectiveness while providing guidance about practical application of constitutional interpretation methodology. Federal Judicial Center consultation opportunities emerged through recognition of constitutional expertise and judicial education capabilities that distinguished my qualifications for providing continuing education to federal district and appellate court judges throughout the First Circuit jurisdiction.